All right, good morning. Hello, everyone. It is exactly 5:42 a.m. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the second episode of the Winners Circle podcast. I am your host, Big Voice Wynn. How you doing today? It's early in the morning. You already know. Early bird gets the worm. Already some birds outside chirping, and they're working my last nerve. So I decided I might as well get up and handle some business. So, for this week's episode, we're going to start off with talking about the greatest athletes of our generation. What era really hosted the greatest athletes? I'm really going to focus on The Last Dance, which was about Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and the Chicago Bulls during the 90s. 6 championships. He won 3 in a row, had a three-peat, and then he retired, went and played some baseball. Then he came back and won 3 more championships. He is 6-0 when it comes to championship series and final series. And during that time, I believe during that time, he only lost 1 playoff series, which was when he first returned to the Bulls against Shaquille O'Neal, and Penny Hardaway, and Horace Grant of the Orlando Magic. So, let's first deal with the Last Dance. I'm from Chicago, from the West Side. This was my era. I remember it pretty vividly. At that time, everybody wanted to be a basketball star. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. Everybody wanted the shoes. Everybody wanted to hoop. Everybody wanted to fly. This was not the era of shooting a three-pointer from as far away that you can. This was get to the bucket, go up, and try to slam on somebody as hard as you can. So this brought along that mentality that you see from a lot of today's players. I'll give you a great example, Derrick Rose. When Derrick Rose first came into the league, Derrick Rose was an attacker. He didn't say much. You couldn't really just look at his facial expression and think you know what's going to happen. He was extremely fast, extremely quick, and exceptionally athletic. Talking about Derrick Rose being all of 6'3", maybe 6'4", but before he got injured, he could jump out the gym. Plain and simple, jump out of the gym. So that, I guarantee, was brought to you by the want just the want to be like Michael Jordan. Man, Mike was the man. There is no comparison. There's no debate about who the GOAT is. After Mike, then we can start talking. There's really not anyone too close. Anyone that's really close is going to be someone that came before Mike, as far as being the GOAT. So Wilt, Kareem, those guys. And really just those 2 guys, just based on if we're talking stats. Yeah, LeBron is going to probably end up with all of the stats, the statistical numbers, because of his longevity. He came straight out of high school. And even straight out of high school, the difference between him and Kobe, for example, coming straight out of high school, was LeBron had his man body straight out of high school. He came right into a situation where he was the best player on his team. Kobe came to the Lakers. He was not the best player on his team. He was probably the most, what's the word? The most driven, possibly. He wanted it, and he really worked until he got to a point where he became arguably a GOAT as well. So that would be the biggest difference between Kobe and LeBron. LeBron is a great player. He's going to give you a lot of stats because he does a lot of things. He likes to bring up the ball, so he's going to have turnovers because he's a big guy. But he's also a great passer, so he's going to have the assist. He's a pretty good scorer. He can score. So he's going to have that. When he wants to, when he wanted to, he played some defense. So, again, he's going to have the stats. He's a walking triple-double. He can easily give you about 20 points a game, He can easily give you 10 rebounds if he really wanted to, and he can definitely give you 10 assists. So he's a walking triple-double or double-double, depending on how he feels. But he is really into his feelings. From his history, it looks like it's kind of easy to get under his skin if the game isn't going how he wants it to go. From The Last Dance, we heard some of the remarks that Dennis Rodman has made, just answering to The Last Dance. So it wasn't on The Last Dance itself. Dennis Rodman came on a few shows like First Take and Undisputed, and he had some things to say. One of the things that he said when debating Mike and LeBron was LeBron is fairly limited to what he can do as a scorer. Mike could do everything, man. There was times when Mike was bringing up the ball, but when Mike brings up the ball, he brings it up quick. It's fast. He's to the half court quickly. LeBron likes to take his time. Mike can pass the ball. I don't know where this thought that Mike isn't a good passer came from, but Mike was a pretty good passer, but he was a great scorer. So not only was he above everyone else in his athleticism, but he was very, very smart when it came to how to score, where to go, what to do in each situation. He wasn't Shaq. He wasn't just dunking every play. Okay. He'd dunk on you. He'd dunk around you. But his layup game is top notch. We're talking about the ability to lay up the ball. Like you look at nowadays, you look at like Kyrie Irving. Kyrie gets to the rim, it's probably going to be a bucket. Same thing with Mike. The difference is Mike was 6'6", really strong, and could really jump. So his layup game was unmatched. And then his jump shot game, his mid-range, was unmatched as well. He can get to a spot and get some open space, create some open space, and once he goes up, man, it's pretty much a bucket for the mid-range. And it wasn't the era of the three-pointer, but Mike could shoot the three. Mike could really shoot the three, so he had the full inside and out game. He can post you up, he can pull it outside, and that's why he was so hard to defend. You don't know what he's gonna do next. He'll pass the ball and he knows how to get open. He'll get the ball and he'll get himself open. He'll create space. He can take it to the bucket or he can shoot it on you. You never knew. Now, what's really going to set him apart from me is defense. Mike was easily one of the greatest defenders of all time. Think about that. Everybody is at awe about his scoring ability, his ability to dunk on you. How flashy he was, how he could easily give you 30 points. Easily. But Mike is going to shut down your best player. And if your team ain't really one that has a best player, Mike will shut down your team. Great transition D. He will get up on you and lock you down, and he can protect the rim. Mike did all of that. Mike did it all. LeBron plays defense like, he's very strategic, I would say, sometimes. When it's needed, when it's a big play, he can get a big play for you. He can definitely chase someone down and block a shot, especially if they're going up for a layup, just based on his size and his ability. LeBron is pretty fast to be 6'8". I don't know how much he weighs, but that's a big guy. He's a big dude. So if you're going up for a layup and he's timing it, he's going to catch you. It's going to be embarrassing for you, not for him. So that's something that he was able to do really great as far as LeBron, but he's not nearly on the level of Mike when it came to overall defense and overall offense. So there's no comparison as far as I'm concerned. Most of the people that are screaming that LeBron is the GOAT is based on stats. It's based on stats. He's had more years than Mike already. But in that shorter time for Mike, with a retirement in between his 6 championships, Mike did way more. He did way more. So I'm not even sure where that comparison comes from. I think it's just something really cool to talk about for a lot of people. If I were given my top. Let me see. Let me think about it. If I was going to do just the top 5 greatest of all time, it's hard for me to do all time and include people like Wilt Chamberlain because that's somebody that my grandfather would tell me about. That's not anyone that I got to see myself. So let's get a story on Wilt. Let's get a story on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I would love to see, how they were, if there is any footage in high school, be it track and field, basketball, whatever other sports they played. These are 7-footers that were not only just huge, but they were extremely athletic when we're talking about Wilt and Kareem and even Bill Russell. These guys were like Goliaths of their time. So to be young and be that big and versatile, of course you're going to dominate. So let's see the story. If there's any video footage of them, let's get that one going so the younger generations can see that as well and have an opportunity to compare. But if it's going to be me coming up with I'll just do a top 5. I'm an 82 baby, so it's going to be a little bit limited. I'm going to go with Mike as my number 1. That's just easy for me. I'm going to have to go with Shaq as my number 2. Shaq, when I was coming up, was just so dominant and so unbelievable. Shaq is also a 7-footer, but Shaq could really move. He can get up and down the court, especially when he was with Orlando. In his first few years with the Lakers as well. He can get up and down the court. He had pretty good footwork. He didn't have to do a whole lot because he was so much stronger than everyone else. But the fact that he was so much stronger than everyone else and fast, he was just able to just dominate and get up under the rim and he was slamming. He was slamming. It was really fun and amazing to watch Shaquille O'Neal. That's going to have to be my number 2. All right, so after that, I feel like I have to throw Magic and Bird in there. I didn't get to see a whole lot of Magic and Bird, but when I was captivated by Mike and everyone in the league at that time, even then, all you heard about was Magic and Bird. And they had commercials, and they were all over media, TV at that time. We didn't have social media at that point. So they were all over the TV. So we all knew about them. And then I got a little bit of an opportunity to see them. Just a little bit. And that first Dream Team was almost unreal. They were so dominant. It was pretty unbelievable. So that was great. So yeah, I would have to put Magic and Bird in there and with my top 5. And then after that, I'm going to have to go with the clone, the Mike clone. We all know who that is. That is going to be the Black Mamba, the late, great Kobe Bryant. Kobe came in with that passion that every young man that loved basketball, after watching Mike, we all wanted to be like Mike. Kobe did that. Kobe did it. He didn't just want to do it. He did it. Kobe got it done. So, I would have to go with Kobe because Kobe came in, he worked really hard, and, he set his game after Mike, patterned after Mike, and he did it, man. He was unstoppable, and he played great defense. He did not slouch on the defensive end as well. So, got to give it up to young Kobe. He came in and did his thing. So, that would be my top 5, and we're gonna take a quick break, and then I'll come back and we'll discuss. I'm gonna do another 5 after that. So, my top 10, but this will kind of be out of order. It'll just be the next greats, and we'll probably get LeBron in that group. All right, so let's take a quick commercial break.
Bonsoir, my friend. Woman, get your glory. Passion is my story. No one can do it for me. Haters hate, and I thank you for it. That little wind will keep me soaring. 803 Life, custom clothing. Always something new, never boring. Life is a canvas and you are the paintbrush. The in the gray area is so not us. From Chicago to Paris, from London to New York. Be great and do more. 803 Life, the right way.
All right, so we are back. Okay, so I did my top 5 as far as the NBA, greatest of all time. This is coming from an 80s baby, 82 to be exact. Got a rep. So I went with Mike, then I went Shaq, then I went Magic and Bird. Bird and Magic doesn't really matter how you want it. And then I went Kobe. I think with that top 5, starting 5 right there, you can't mess with me. You can't even mess with me. You know, if we was playing 5-on-5 and that was my 5, I think I got you. You put Magic at the 1, Mike at the 2. That's ugly. You got Kobe at the 3. Oh man, you in trouble. Put Bird at the 4. And then Diesel, Shaq Daddy at the 5. Man, I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know what you're gonna do besides take a L. So that's gonna be my top 5. All right. So now I'm gonna do my next 5, and I don't know if this is necessarily in order or not, but from what I got an opportunity to experience, this is going to be the next top 5 from that. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so in that next group, let's go with one that's current right now. I gotta put KD in there. Kevin Durant, after watching how he played against LeBron when the Warriors won. Now, I will say that, KD going to the Warriors was a really weak move as far as I'm concerned. You went to the team that just went, 71-9 or something like that. And then they put you and your team out of the playoffs. That was a weak move as far as I'm concerned. It's when you're talking about just being competitive. Nevertheless, once he made the move is made. And he got him a few championships after that. So, and when it was championship time, he came, he showed up. So, he played dominant and amazing against LeBron James and the Cavaliers. So I had to put KD up there. And not just because of that, but KD's a 7-footer. He's to be 7 foot, he's definitely very athletic. His handle is pretty amazing. His handle of the ball is pretty amazing. He can shoot it from anywhere. He can score from anywhere. Once he goes up, you're pretty much done. So KD is definitely on that list. And KD will play some D too. And if he decides that he's locking you down, you're pretty much locked. You're pretty much locked. Even if you're quick enough to get around him, with him being a legit, I don't know how tall that man is. He's 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet, something like that. But with that height and with that length, even if you get around him, when you go up, he's blocking your shot. He's an amazing athlete and possibly the greatest overall scorer, next to Mike. Right next to Mike. Everybody talks about Steph Curry's ability to score, mainly to shoot from far, but KD can shoot it from anywhere, literally anywhere on the court. So, got to put KD up there. I have to put AI up there. Allen Iverson never won a championship, primarily because during his championship years where he really had that ability, he was with the Philadelphia 76ers, and they did not have the right team around him, plain and simple. They just didn't. They did not have the right team around that man. He wasn't able to get him one. But when we're talking about ability, we're talking about a guy who was listed at 6 foot tall. I don't think he was 6 feet. He's probably like 5'10", 5'11", my height. I list myself at 6 feet, so I understand. But probably wasn't 6 feet tall. When he came into the league, he changed the league. Crossovers before him were tighter. What I mean by tighter, it was a little bit faster. You couldn't really put the palm of your hand under the ball or even to the low side of the ball. It pretty much had to be on top of the ball. So Iverson came in with his own type of flair, and he switched it up a little bit. Flip mode. He switched it up. Not only that, but he was a underrated athlete. This is someone that out of high school was the National Football Player of the Year, Allen Iverson, and won basketball, I think, for the state of Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. So he was winning the football championship in high school and the basketball championship in high school. This was an exceptional athlete. Allen Iverson's overall ability was pretty amazing. Even at that height of 5'11", 5'10", 6 feet, whatever you want to call it, he could jump out the gym, man. That dude can get up, and he'd definitely catch you off guard. Rebounds, putting it over your head, and things like that. Allen Iverson could score. You knew he could score. You knew he was about to give you somewhere between 25 and 30 every night, even at that size. He made the league faster. Mike made the league faster, and then and then Iverson came along and made the league faster. So, shout out to AI. AI would say it itself, he couldn't lock nobody down. He's too small. What he was able to do, however, was play pretty good transitional defense. What I mean by that is, he can take the ball. You passing the ball and you're not tight and you're not paying attention, that ball will be gone the other way. He'll be gone with it. So that's good enough for me. And then on top of that, if he was showing out, he'll block your shot every now and then too. He's showing out. So I gotta put AI on that list. All right, next for me, another one from that 6 to 10. It's gonna be the battle of the power forwards. Tim Duncan had the stats in the championship. Tim Duncan was boring to watch. Mr. Fundamental. But he was fundamentally sound. He didn't slack. He wasn't a slouch. He got to his position. He blocked out, post up. He could score. He could rebound. He could defend. He could pass the ball. He could do everything, man. He was your fundamental, top-notch big man. Tim Duncan. Now, for me, Kevin Garnett was my favorite to watch, okay? Kevin Garnett was great to watch because he was extremely exciting. He's another 7-footer. He was a big guy who could really jump. He would play some D, but his attitude, the flair that he brought to the game, it made watching him, even if their team was losing, it made watching so fun. If Tim Duncan had Kevin Garnett's attitude, that person would be one of the greatest of all time, probably in the top 5. If you put Garnett's attitude with Tim's accolades, because it's not like Garnett didn't have great ability as well. He was a walking double-double also. He was another one, 20 and 10. He can get you 20 and 10 easily with 3 blocks, because he's challenging it. Anybody come around him thinking they're going up with him. Kevin Garnett was an amazing player, but Timmy won championships. I think I would have to go with Timmy there. It's a lot of great power forwards that you can mention. Charles Barkley was a great power forward and undersized. I don't think he was 6'6", though, because I seen some pictures of him standing next to Mike. He was taller than Mike. Everybody was talking about how Charles Barkley was 6'4". He might be 6'4" now, but when he was playing, he was at least 6'8". Can people shrink? I believe so. But yeah, he was bigger than Mike. It's hard to do another 5, because you gotta really consider people like Charles Barkley. You gotta consider Karl Malone. who, as far as statistics goes, is one of your greatest scorers ever, thanks to John Stockton. But that pick and roll was pretty much unstoppable. So you have to consider them. Who else can I put up here? I think I'm going to have to put Karl Malone up here off of his stats. He really was unstoppable. His D wasn't all that great. Most of the people that I'm going to mention, I tried to play defense as much as possible myself. So I like defenders, people who have the overall game. That's what you need to really consider. People who have that overall game, because basketball is not like football. You're not playing one side of the ball. You have to play both sides of the ball. Yeah, Karl Malone is up there. Patrick Ewing is up there. All right, so who do I have? I have AI, KD, Tim Duncan, LeBron. You got to put LeBron in the top 10. LeBron was a freak of nature. He really was. LeBron was so big and so fast that when he was running, say he's on a fast break, he had to shuffle his feet to slow down because he was so fast. He had to gather himself so he can go up for the dunk. So LeBron, he's another one that really changed the game. He came in 6'8", 6'9", over 250, I think, with guard skills. He's handling the rock. He's pushing the rock up. He's flying down the court. His main thing when he first came into the league, though, was take it to the bucket. Great passer. Loves to set up his teammates. If anything, I would say that LeBron is Scottie Pippen 2.0. I don't know where all this. I'll take that back. I do know where it's coming from. It's a lot of the guys who played against Scottie saying that Scottie wasn't all that great, like Isaiah Thomas, players like that. Some of them say, we give Scottie too much credit. Scottie was the man, and he showed that when Mike retired. Scottie played amazing when Mike retired. Scottie was the man, and if you look at his game and then look at LeBron's, you can see a lot of the same things. Scottie was a pretty good passer. He wasn't very flashy, but he was a pretty good passer. He used to bring the ball up for the Bulls, so he had that. But Scottie played D. Scottie played strong D, much better defender than LeBron. But overall player, I would say LeBron is Scottie 2.0. All right, so I think LeBron ends up being my number 9. My number 10 is going to have to be Steph Curry. I'm a Chicago native. If it weren't for Derrick Rose getting injured and going through all of that, he'd have definitely been on this list because he was on his way to definitely being one of the greatest of all time. But the team that was built around him, they were good, but they needed a few more years to really get up to par, like we saw how it was for Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy took a little time to get up to par. So if it weren't for the injuries and all the time missed and then the rehabilitation for Rose, I guarantee you Rose was on his way to being one of the greatest of all time. With that being said, Steph was able to really, really make a strong name for himself. Steph evolutionized the game. You never seen anybody shoot like that. You never seen anybody shoot like Steph shoot. No one. Even on the playground. Steph can really pull it up from anywhere and just let it go. And first couple of years while we was watching Steph do this, it was like, what is this boy doing? But it was always going in. It was just amazing. He brought something to the game that we've never seen. And we've all seen three-pointers. We just never seen it like this before. So, Steph definitely changed the game. And you got to speak on that. He's got him a few rings. He was a part of a team that went, what did they go? I think they went 71-9, something like that. You got to give it up to that, man. They lost that year. That's what messed that year up for them. But other than that, yeah, man, Steph changed the game. Now it's not, the new generation isn't all about be like Mike. like my generation was. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. But now, I think you got more people that want to be like Steph than you do LeBron. The big guys, they want to be like LeBron. Well, a lot of them want to be like KD now. KD can really shoot it from anywhere too. Everywhere I go, playgrounds across the USA, everyone is pulling up and shooting. As soon as they pass half court, they're pulling up and shooting with full confidence. And a lot of these kids, it's going in. I see kids all the time. They're shooting and they're going back down the other way. They know it's going in. So Steph did change the game. So you got to give it to him. That man can score. Great handles. Underrated passer. Can't really play no defense. But as far as running an offense, he's great. Yeah, we've seen him get shut down a few times. No one else is Mike. And I don't think anyone else is Kobe. But those guys are big. Steph is little. He's a little guy. Might be 6'3". So that's what I'm going to have to go with. I just kind of made that second group up on the fly. I just had my top. I didn't really even have the top 5. But yeah, that's where I'm going to go with it. All right, so what are some of the other differences between now and then? One of mine is going to be work ethic. I think that is a big difference from yesterday's game compared to today's game. From the looks of it, today's game, I think, it's evolved. It's definitely evolved. Today's athlete has gotten faster, getting stronger, they're getting bigger, more skilled. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's even with our offspring. As we journey and live life, we're supposed to pass certain things on to our offspring so that they're better than us. And it's the same thing with athletes and in sports and things of that nature. Every generation is supposed to be better than the next. So yeah, in that manner, today's athlete is going to be better than yesterday's athlete. However, I feel like nowadays, our new professional athletes, they have so much other stuff that's not important to really consider, like social media and all of that. That's really the main thing, social media. With the way that social media is set up and the power that it has to play on young individuals' minds, that's a major thing. And we see that a lot nowadays. Social media, you get on there and you say something that at the time it was heartfelt, but now that it's on social media, millions get to hear it and millions get to reply to it. Next thing you know, now you got to apologize for stuff or not apologize, and you can be fined or penalized and all kind of stuff. So that makes it a bit harder, I think, for today's athletes, especially the elite, to really focus on their craft. Also, it's more about money nowadays than anything. When Mike was playing, yes, they wanted to get paid. However, they were balling. And they were working hard, really hard. And before that, they were working really hard. Everybody wants to get paid for their craft. Does an entertainer really need to make millions upon millions a year? I really don't think so. I think teachers and doctors and firemen should make more than they make. Up that. Give police that are actually really doing their job and serving the people, give them a better salary than the ones that are having all these incidents. I'll just leave it at that. Everyday people who are doing everyday hero work, these are the people who need to be grossly overpaid, not entertainers. The entertainment sector makes way too much money, as far as I'm concerned. This is a personal opinion. I'm not an athlete, so hey, I can say that. Now, if I was an athlete, I'd probably feel a bit different than that. I'd at least be really happy with. I mean, you can, if you're in the NBA and even if you're sitting on the bench, you're making about $500,000 a year, even if you're not really playing. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. Meanwhile, we have teachers and people like that, social workers, that they can barely make it. What's up with that? How does that make sense? Today's athlete is more concerned about their overall brand than winning. At least that's the vibe that I get. It seems like the majority of our greats and elites, they are concerned about how much money they're making from the team, what type of endorsements they're making, what is their brand. Everybody wants to have a brand. Everyone needs to have a brand. The majority of that should come just from your work ethic. But if your primary ability is basketball, then that should be your primary focus as well. At least that's how it used to be. Now they'll play some ball, but also big on social media. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of different doors and avenues and ventures that you're taking. You want to have income coming in a multitude of areas. My question is, does that take away from your work ethic, from your sport? Does that take away from you mastering your ability? And does that overall, does that take away from your product? You're a basketball player, but you're doing 1,000 other things. I remember when Iverson started rapping, the NBA had a problem with it. You know, new day, new age. How does it affect everything? I think it has a little bit of an effect on it. I think that just like everything else, though, we tend to adapt and evolve when it comes to things like that. We'll see how Zion does. Zion seems very poised. I like him. He shoots it. He's fast. He's big. He's an athlete. Can't wait to see him in his full prime and how he handles basketball, social media, endorsements, and everything that has to come with that, while still pursuing to be the greatest in the NBA for his generation to come. Because I mean, the way it's set up right now, it's set up for him and Ja, unless we have some more people come through and take it. We'll see.
Now I know Texas is known for barbecue, but I have a special treat for y'all in the Fort Hood and Killeen area. A taste of Chicago, home of the Chicago-style Polish, cheeseburgers, and gyro cheeseburger. You ever had that? A gyro cheeseburger? Lip smacking. Wings and fries with mild sauce, a Chicago delicacy. Stop by today for the best Midwest cooking in the South. A taste of Chicago. Open noon to 7 p.m. weekdays and 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. weekends. Call 312-852-5250 and place your order. Again, that's 312-852-5250. I can taste it now. Lip smacking.